8 individuals, all from the Central Asian country of Tajikistan, were arrested in Los Angeles, New York, and Philadelphia. They entered the United States this year and in 2023, crossing the Mexican border. They were vetted and allowed to remain in the country.
I'm sorry, what?
CBS News has learned further investigation uncovered the men had possible ties to ISIS-K, the terror group which claimed responsibility for an attack at a Moscow concert hall that killed more than 140 people earlier this year.
This is a big shift because as far as I know, and we've been searching high and low, you can correct me if I'm wrong, for the first time, a majority of Americans, and I don't want to say a majority of Americans actually support mass deportations. For the first time, a majority of Americans answered to a poll that they support mass deportation.
They're not ashamed to say.
Yeah. And I would be willing to bet there are quite a few more people who said no.
Yep.
So over the weekend, before we get to this, 8 migrants with direct ties to ISIS, they were arrested in multiple major cities here in the United States.
8 individuals, all from the Central Asian country of Tajikistan, were arrested in Los Angeles, New York, and Philadelphia. They entered the United States this year and in 2023, crossing the Mexican border. They were vetted and allowed to remain in the country.
I'm sorry, what?
CBS News has learned further investigation uncovered the men had possible ties
to
ISIS-K, the terror group which claimed responsibility for an attack at a Moscow concert hall that killed more than 140 people earlier this year.
So just let me piggyback off of that. You remember when the concert hall was attacked?
Yes.
Everybody around the world basically said, hey, we're actually on the lookout for this. And in the United States, there was a warning basically to look out for an event like this.
Right.
Unbeknownst to us, these people that have been vetted and said, hey, come right in, were in cities in the United States hanging out, potentially waiting for orders. I don't know. I'm guessing.
It's even worse than that.
I don't know why they're here.
One of these terrorists actually used the CBP One app.
Well, that's just
where they apply, and it's
just
like,
good technology.
You've been approved.
Yeah, exactly. Are you a terrorist?
Yeah.
No problem.
No problem. We don't care. And these arrests, by the way, this is happening, again, right after. Maybe this is why you're seeing 2/3 of Americans now are saying that they want mass deportation of illegals.
You've seen the Trump campaign talking about mass deportations.
Watch her.
We tested that in a general way in principle. Would you support a new government program that would deport all people living in the U.S. illegally? And that finds majority favor. That finds 6 in 10.
First off, just show us still, that guy's really short.
Yes.
That guy's...
I thought he was her puppet.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like the dummy in Magic.
Yes. I thought that was a ventriloquist.
He's reaching for the footstools.
The same poll, by the way, found that 62% of people were overall in favor of using the local police to identify illegals, that even 38% of Democrats are in favor of mass deportation, and a majority, 53% of Hispanics, answered that they were in favor of mass deportation. Hispanics here in America saying, get them out.
Yeah, this is, just to be clear, 38% of Democrats are like, fine, they want the border. No. They want people who are here illegally gone.
Deported.
That is a completely different shift in this conversation.
What do you think that number really is?
I was going to say that's not even a real number.
Yeah. Even Democrats are like, no, all cultures are equal. Get them the fuck out of here.
You know, let's ask people in Chicago, New York, and San Francisco, where we have, relocated people because we wanted them to be understanding of the plight of these migrants. Yes. Let's ask those citizens how many of them want deportations. I guarantee you the number is higher when you have to deal with the problem.
Well, exactly. It's a classic liberal thing. When it touches them personally, now it's time to act.
Right. And
it's always like that.
It took 3 days for Martha's Vineyard to cleanse itself.
So right now you have the country, 2/3, right? You even have a huge portion of Democrats saying, all right, we have a problem. We have to mass deport these people. The only people who don't understand this are those in the actual DNC. So when people say extreme right, extreme left, tell me anyone who is a moderate Democrat in the current DNC, with a national platform. Anyone, name one, comment below, go. Anyone in this administration who is in line with the majority of the American public and at least the moderates in their own party. They are so dumbfounded that the CBS journalist and professional bitchy ghost Margaret Brennan couldn't comprehend the results of the poll.
62% of Americans favor deporting all undocumented immigrants. So Homeland Security says that President Biden has already deported or repatriated more people in the past year than any year since 2010. And then, depending on the details of what's talked about on the campaign trail, some of what Mr. Trump talks about could be illegal. It doesn't seem practical in some sense to round up children. And then we know that the courts have questioned whether local authorities would have the ability to do it. And federal authorities don't have the resources. So what exactly do people think they're supporting?
Deporting illegals. And here's the reason that women can't really get away. And they'll say, I know, you'll say this is sexist.
She needs
I say, she really doesn't understand this. She's being sarcastic. You wouldn't say that about a man. You know why? Because men can generally be like dismissive, like, well, what the hell is it that they're supporting? Like, oh yeah, that's par for the course. You seem too emotionally invested to be able to be snippy and dismissive. You seem like you're actually pensive, Margaret. Like, what are they actually against? Like you're writing equations on the wall and shit. Let me go through these claims that she is making and provide some context. All the references are available. Link in the description. Right. There's some truth to the claim here that former Vice President Biden has removed more illegals in the past year than any year since 2010. Hear them make the claim.
Homeland Security says that President Biden has already deported or repatriated more people in the past year than any year since 2010.
Okay, here's the truth. Granted, maybe some more removals, but that's because there have been way more encounters under Biden. So under Donald Trump, he had 3 million encounters with the illegals at the border. Under Biden, 9.9 million. If you do some math there, that's a 230% increase. There's a period of time where every single month was a new record.
That's right.
And every year that he's been in office, former Vice President Biden has sent a smaller percentage of migrants back.
Leave that chart up for just a second.
More than 3 times the encounters and the percentage of deportations is lower.
Yes, and look at it going down. Since 2022, it's starting to go down, but the enforcement, the encounters are still continuing to climb. That is the chart that you want to look at. They're fudging the numbers on this other stuff, saying he is repatriated. They're using the words very, very carefully because it makes him look better than he actually is. And by the way, you made the point. I don't care if you've sent back 10 million people a year. If 100 million are trying to get in, you're still sucking.
Yes.
It doesn't help us any. You have to be better.
Shut the magnet off.
Last Thursday, 10,000 illegals crossed. Last Thursday, 10,000 illegals crossed, which, by the way, this is something else. Don't let them get out. Don't let them wiggle out of this and say, well, I don't know what you want them to do. We have 3 branches of government. No, this is something that is legitimately under the purview of the federal government, certainly of the executive office. And this is actually, we're looking at 4 times the limit that is required, the threshold for former Vice President Joe Biden to close the border by executive order.
Is it closed? No.
He can do it. He could do it right now. It's one of the few things the president could do right now.
What did he do a few days ago, Stephen?
Nothing.
And I know the result was nothing, but
he slept.
He came out and
it was a show. Yeah, it was a show, right? It was a dog and pony show. Yeah, he comes out and says, oh, we're going to do something about that. Really? You let it get to this number? Right now, here's the thing. He could, by executive order, completely shut down the border. And the majority of Americans, including Hispanic Americans, want that. At least they want deportations, and he's not. I ask you, why not? He's obviously not answering to the American people. And he obviously doesn't understand his own authority here. This is the legitimate role of the President of the United States, certainly the federal government, and you want it. No one is disagreeing here. This is a rare area where we are all in unified agreement, except the entire DNC and media. Why is that? Comment below. Why do you think that is? Do you still think these people represent you? Here's another truth, and this may blow your mind, but that's why we have to include the video. This government is effectively trafficking in humans, under illegal immigrants. Let me say this right. They're human trafficking while allowing illegal immigrants to come in under the guise of empathy. Here's the clip. Mayorkas, right? You know Mayorkas, actually talking about how we are spending money, your money, taxpayer dollars, to make it easier. And I know what you're thinking. To be humane, to make sure they're comfortable when they're here. Okay, we can maybe have some conversations about that if that's the rule of government. No, here's Mayorkas saying that we are spending money to go down to South America and bring them here, not across Mexico, but from their native country, here.
We have increased the number of refugees that we will accept from the Western Hemisphere. We have built safe mobility offices in Colombia, Ecuador, Guatemala, Costa Rica, to reach people where they are so they don't have to take the perilous journey.
fucking leave them where they are. Leave them where they are.
Or put them on a Boeing. Here's a perilous journey.
Yes, exactly.
While doing nothing. This is absolutely democratic. While doing nothing to stop the actual problem of what is driving the perilous journey in the first place.
Don't skim past the fact your tax dollars are going to retrieving people.
You're recruiting them like
in
athletes.
Guatemala, going to get them and bring them here so that they don't have to go through these illegal immigrants don't even have to go through the discomfort of traversing Mexico anymore. And it is uncomfortable. I don't want to vilify an entire nation of people, but Mexico is a horrible place.
It is, yes. Mm-hmm.
It's a terrible place. They have scorpions.
So does the hotel I'm staying at.
And Corona. So.
No one forced you to stay at La Quinta.
I love La Quinta.
Some of them are nice now, actually. Some of them are a lot
I know,
nicer.
they're redoing them.
Yeah, remember, if they do that with every hotel. It's like Holiday Inn. They had a revamp.
Yes.
Now it's La Quinta. It's their turn.
And you know that as a comedian because they always put you there right before they refurbish
Right,
it.
yes, exactly.
I love you both. There is not one La Quinta on the planet.
You shut your
that
mouth,
is
you elitist
considered
prick.
Nice.
How do you know you're a dad with 11 kids? You never leave the house.
Yes,
Listen,
exactly.
I go to La Quinta all the time.
there's one in Tampa. Excuse me. The one in Tampa that, yes, it's an actual
No,
nice.
There was one here. There was one here, and
They
then
renamed it. It's called a Marriott.
Yes, that's what happened here. There was La Quinta, and they just renamed it, and it was a Sheraton. It was so nice, it became a Sheraton. Do you want to crap on Sheraton now?
Yes, I do want to crap on Sheraton. I will crap on any hotel that I want. That sounds bad.
Well, at least it's consistent.
You have to go to the
It'll be the
pool with your
hotel
kids.
crapper.
That's horrible.
I'll grant you that one.
Okay, fine.
Oh, you can grunt.
Think about how mad they got when Donald Trump said you referred to them as shithole countries. Well, hold on a second. So you're mad about the words, but if they weren't shithole countries, you wouldn't be sending a plane to retrieve them from those countries. They obviously want to leave those countries. So what would you rather us call them? Awful, terrible countries that have offered nothing to the modern world, and it's 2024 there too? Shithole for shorthand. Here's another claim that they make, and this is the most tired. We have talked about this in the Change My Minds. If you feel like we are being repetitive with this, it's because I want you to remember this key fact, if nothing else. They will always try and claim that mass deportations are not practical and too costly, and it is the most self-defeating argument they could possibly make, but hear them say it first.
Some of what Mr. Trump talks about could be illegal. It doesn't seem practical, and federal authorities don't have the resources.
Okay, here's the truth.
Practical.
The cost of not deporting illegal immigrants and the cost of not securing our border is so much higher, it's not even in the same league. The annual cost of illegal immigrants in the United States, to you, the taxpayer, lowest estimate, $150 billion a year. Highest, $451 billion a year. The reason I know this and it sticks in my memory so much is because when we used to do the Build the Wall, Change My Mind installments, the cost was $116 billion a year. It has ballooned. Let's split the difference and call it $275. $275 billion a year. That is the cost. It is not being argued right now from either side to you, the taxpayer. A cost of a border wall? Be about $11 billion. On the high end, $25 billion. You could send every single illegal immigrant a one-way first-class ticket and not even scratch the $10 billion mark. It is not an argument that can be made, but I encourage the left to continue making it because now I know that there's an army of you mug clubbers out there to refute it. Thank you.
Even a cheaper way.
Yes, it's a cheaper...
No, there's even a cheaper way. Funding abortions in South America.
Nick. We already do that.
I know. That's why I said it.
No, look, the Senate Democrats actually tried to jump on this argument and go, all right, we're going to make it seem like the border wall is the most expensive thing. It's like the East German judges in the competition. You just throw out their vote, right? That's the Senate Democrats. They came in and they're like, it's going to cost $70 billion. And what's hilarious, on the low side of the cost, you're still saving over half.
I know.
Your argument is that you can't save half, and that is hell for you. It's like
let's take your high side estimate for the wall, and let's take your low side estimate for the cost burdened by the American taxpayer. So your high side is $70 billion, which no one thinks.
Nobody thinks that.
And your low end of how many Americans have to burden the cost, it's $150 billion.
Yes.
So $70 billion to $150 billion. The number is very likely $20 billion to over $200, $300 billion. It's not even close. When they don't have the resources. They don't have the resources to not solve this problem. Let me ask you this. Yeah. You think it gets better? You think it gets better if you continue down this path? For crying out loud, for the first time, most Americans support deportation. Why? Because it's in their own backyard, their experience. It doesn't get better. It's only going to get worse, and they know it. That's the question.
Yes.
That's the question that is begged here. Why? Why? No one except for people in this administration and the media believe or support this. They are your enemy. They are your enemy. They're the enemy of a free people, of a free law-abiding citizenry. They are the enemy.
The left did such a number on this country for the last 50, 60 years with the whole diversity race thing that it is a new truth to them. Mm-hmm. And that's why. They really think it's racist to say, no, we don't want these people here. Yeah. I mean, they have a whole...
They think it's racist just to say we need a wall to make sure that we know if terrorists are coming in.
That's how deep they get into people's psyches. Generation after generation.
How about this? How about before the wall? How about you just really, really make sure that terrorists don't come in when you vet them and you know that they are terrorists?
Well, that's the one that killed me. They said they were vetted.
I know.
That means like if the guy said, yes, I'm with ISIS. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, don't get nuts at strip clubs.
I may be a terrorist. Phone. I may want to kill all the Jews, but I cannot tell a lie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, come on in, Haji.
I am ISIS gay. Yes. You saw a work.
I am ISIS. ISIS is me. We are one and the same. I leave the decision to you. Approved? You're bullshitting. It worked. Here's another truth. Terrorists, again, we're joking, but they continue to take advantage of the open border policy, right? You have the CBP terror watch list. Let's look at these numbers, the encounters in the southwest border. The total encounters under Donald Trump, 11. Now, that's 11 more than I would like.
Yes, but.
Under Biden, 362. And these are just the numbers that we know about. You're a terrorist right now. What's your plan? It's pretty straightforward. You're a terrorist, death to America. Okay, all that. Of course, I don't agree with them, but I also understand they have a point of view. I haven't fully understood their perspective until I've walked a mile in their bomb vest. However, I don't want them here. Or in Ilhan Omar's case, the ticking pantsuit.
It's true.
11 under Trump, 362 under Biden. Of course it would be a part of your plan to send people across the border into the United States. Why? Well, they can get in unvetted. And worst case scenario, if you're a terrorist, they might be vetted. They'll be let in anyway. So terrorists love this policy. And here's another truth. Only illegal immigrants. We no longer have even Hispanic immigrants here supporting this policy. Only terrorists and illegal immigrants like this policy from former Vice President Joe Biden.
We've been talking to migrants from all over the world arriving here into the San Diego sector. I talked to one man from Turkey. Here's what he had to say. What do you think of President Biden?
That's Prometheus.
Biden, I love Biden.
Why do you love Biden?
Because
you give me this hat.
Biden, we love.
Why do you love him?
Can you rephrase it?
Biden help us.
Okay, Gilligan.
Yes. The skipper to the Migrant and his wife.
The Border Patrol.
And the rest.
Here on Guantanamo Bay.
Oh, my gosh. This is what's happening right now. They love it. You have the terrorists who love it. Illegal immigrants love it. But Americans don't, Doug. And illegal immigrants don't. They're just catching and releasing at the border if they're doing anything. And that brings us to Josh Explains Things.
Catch and release is a practice used by sport fishermen and now, apparently, the Border Patrol, in which you immediately release the very thing you spent your entire time trying to catch. I mean, look at these guys here. This guy's like, oh, sorry, I stabbed you in the mouth. I had to get out of the house and away from my family for a bit. I hate my wife and kids. I'm miserable. Ugh. Dude, catch and release is the worst kind of fishing. I mean, what's the point of fishing if you're just going to come home empty-handed and disappoint your whole family? When I fish, it's to kill and to eat. Now, that doesn't mean that I want to kill or eat illegal immigrants. Although, I mean, come on, you would. What I'm saying is that we have the Border Patrol agents wasting their time apprehending people just to let them go. And sometimes picking them up to take photos with them, to hang on the Border Patrol station refrigerator. Nice little selfie. Look at him. There he goes. Letting the fish go, just like the Border Patrol. They shove the immigrant's head underwater and say, get out of here, you little filthy immigrant. Go on, go, you scoundrel. Go on, get out of here.
Thanks, Josh. I feel like I have a better handle on nothing. So let's conclude this.
Me too.
All Americans want mass deportations and at the very least a wall. A majority of Americans. A huge portion of Democrats. You want it. The president has the ability to do this. It's one of the very few areas where an executive order would be appropriate. He's not. The only people who don't want it are those involved, right? Those who actually run the DNC and the media. Why? Maybe you can answer that question without sounding too crazy conspiratorial, because guess what? It is an actual conspiracy by definition. And that makes this election really clear. People often say, I don't want to be a single issue voter. Guess what? On this one, you are. I don't want to say it's the only issue on which you vote, but it is a negating factor. In other words, it is a rate limiting factor. If any of these candidates is not going to do something serious about the border with a concrete plan, guess what? They're not the person for you.
Yeah.
If you are one of these Americans right now. And you know what else? Because of your support at Mug Club, July 1st, coming to a city near you, build the wall. Change my mind. There's going to be a giant billboard in a major American city because screw it. No one else is doing anything. You have supported that. It's you. It's Mug Club. These are the fruits of your labor. There's going to be a giant whistling
it's a
billboard wall. Build the wall. Change my mind so that people out there know they are not alone. Tired of this shit. LidoWithCrowder.com/MugClub if you want more billboards.
Watch Louder with Crowder live Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.